Kids loved it, didn't they?
Oh yeah, they love going to Mimi Ma's, what they call her, Mimi Ma and Papa's house. Uh, but it's fun to see Christmas through the eyes of children, as you well know,
No
Michael
question
Amos.
about it. No question about it. And I was up in Birmingham with my grandchildren, and the Florida bunch came up, and now they've gone back, and now it's time to go down there, I reckon.
So,
of course, a lot going on during the holiday season.
So all the Amoses were together.
You're exactly right. And, of course, it won't be long. It passes by fast when you're having fun, and I hope
364 days till Christmas now, though.
Geneva, Alabama will never forget the horror they felt on Christmas Day with 3 young girls being killed in an automobile accident. And our prayers and our thoughts go out to their families and all of the people that knew the girls. And they look like beautiful girls.
Well, I just saw the story on AL.com. And they all were beautiful. All 3 of them were cheerleaders. One, I think, 16 and 2 17-year-old young ladies in a tragic car crash. Like we had one right over the summer, near Goshen.
Oh, yeah. I can remember growing up in Troy. I was in the 9th grade, and we had 2 girls that were killed in a car wreck right across the street from where you live now.
Is that right?
Right across the street from where you live now.
On Murphy Street?
Well, it's right there on Murphy Street, right there on the corner where there's a big telephone pole.
Oh.
You know where those apartments are?
Yep.
Right there on that corner,
Yeah, that's a terrible curve, yeah.
And the two boys were killed too, and
4 people?
Yeah, 4 people. Terrible accident. That happened back in, gosh, like I said, that would have been, I would call it around
No, well, there's been other ones. Yeah, I can think of several that have happened.
This was in the 60s. This was a long time ago. And it was in the early 60s, around 61 or 62. And that was a sad thing.
My mom, she went on a date when she was in high school. A young man, double date, came over from Andalusia to go out with my mom.
Yeah.
I think she was a high school junior.
Your mama was a pretty girl too.
They might have been in college. I don't know how old they were. But
okay.
Anyway, after they let her off, and they were driving back to Andalusia, and they were in a car crash and both died.
Oh,
so my mom was just that close to.
That was something. Want to congratulate Max Howell. Calls in every week on our show. He was named to the Troy University Hall of Fame.
How about that? Yay!
So and of course we really are excited for him. And also my good friend Barney Burnett goes in.
All right.
In golf as the former Troy golf coach, and of course he was an All-American golfer himself. And what a great tribute it is to Barney Burnett. And I know nobody would appreciate this any more than Barney. Barney, when you talk golf in Troy, Alabama, the first name you mention, or the history of golf in Troy, Alabama, the first name you mention or hear is Barney Burnett.
Right, and he was married to Eleanor, who
That's
was
right.
a beloved lady in Troy, and one of my mom's close friends too. So congratulations to Barney. Well deserved.
Exactly right.
And Max Howell, I know both of them. Who else did we get?
Well, we also got Jude Rinaldi, a former All-American baseball player, one of the all-time greats, without a doubt. He came out of Central Florida and came to Troy as played at a junior college in Florida. Then he came to Troy and played 2 years under Chase Riddle. And both years they won the national championship.
You know who I bumped into this weekend on Christmas Eve, or December 23rd? Robert Earl Stewart.
Yeah, that's right.
He was at Lawrence Hardware.
Appreciate that.
And
a little sad.
No.
Let's see.
Former Troy wide receiver John Johnson passed away.
I remember.
That was he finished at Troy not long ago. According to Troy Athletics website, John Johnson played on a football team at Troy from 2014 2017. He was a graduate of Charles Sims High School and one of the all-time greats. Reports indicate Johnson was killed in a motorcycle accident. Thursday, Johnson was an integral part of Troy's football team from 2014 to 2017. He hauled in 4 touchdown catches for 949 yards receiving during his time at Troy, but he is best known for what he did off the field. Was a true ambassador for Troy University football. Johnson was just 24 years old.
And a Charles Henderson alumnus.
John Johnson was one of the greatest, maybe the greatest wide receiver to ever play at Charles Henderson. From Ingram,
Yeah.
Austin Ingram to John Johnson,
Yeah.
and this is a sad, sad moment. And that combination was just, I don't know if you saw them play.
I did.
But
I
let me
followed
tell
his
you,
career from
Austin
Montgomery.
Ingram was about as good a quarterback that's ever played at Charles Henderson. And no question about it, John Johnson was one of the great receivers of all time. And we hear now, ladies and gentlemen, there's a picture on AOL and picture of him.
So that
before
was,
one
he
of the
passed away yesterday.
That's right. And how sad this is.
Well,
To go with the 3 girls that were from Geneva, and of course John Johnson will forever be remembered. And I tell you, one of the all-time greats, John Johnson, was killed in a motorcycle accident just yesterday. And our prayers and our thoughts go out to that family and a deeply rooted family right here in Troy, Alabama. And of course, John Johnson was a great guy. Of course, and outstanding ambassador for Troy University football. And I don't know what he was doing. He might have been coaching with them some recently, but those motorcycles can be awfully, awfully dangerous, especially if you're not used to them. And I don't know how long you've been riding a motorcycle, but there's not a lot of protection there. You know what I mean? If you wreck, you're in trouble.
my dad would never let us have one, or a motor, or
I can
mini bike,
understand it.
and 3-wheelers, 4-wheelers. Yeah.
I can understand it, no question about it. And again, John Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, the great wide receiver at Troy University, the great wide receiver at Charles Henderson High
There,
School,
Scott.
had been killed in a car wreck, or excuse me, a motorcycle wreck. Evidently, it's right here in Troy. And again,
Well, details are sketchy right now. It seems like.
it said, and of course, the information just came off the wire, and our guy just
Scott.
brought it to us, and we appreciate him doing that. Of course, with the joys of Christmas, you have the hurts of a lot of people in Christmas. We lost Chris Schubert. Yes, Sister Schubert's homemade rolls. Well, Chris Schubert had a lot to do with that over the years.
I missed that story.
Yeah, Chris Schubert, your neighbor. Lives right around.
What's I didn't even know he was sick. Or
Yeah, he died of cancer, and
I'm so
prayers
sorry.
and thoughts go out to his lovely wife and family, and Chrissy and all that. The bunch, a lot of those folks lived in Andalusia, and you had quite a father. I tell you, he was a fine man, fine citizen, fine.
he
husband,
moved into Troy
fine
and became
father.
a great Trojan.
No question about it. He was a Louisiana native, and if I'm right, I think I am. And he was just a strong citizen. He came in.
Well, he ran Woods Furniture
That's
Company.
right. Ran it, and later
Then
on
he ran
owned
the,
it,
then they had the Sears shop. He went to St. Mark's Episcopal Church.
That's right,
That's
was very
where I
active.
grew up in that church. That's where I got to know Chris.
very active in that church.
Fine man, real involved in the community. Smart
sir.
man, interesting man. Well, I just didn't know it. I'm just floored by all this news.
No question about it. And I don't know. I haven't seen the all of the information on, but Chris, again, some of the things that were written about him were just outstanding. I was reading, some things that people said about him, and it says here he was larger than life, servant leader, and that's what one man said about him. And when you have those kind words said about you, you know, other
And
things.
his wife Donna is a longtime
right.
faculty member in the journalism department at Troy University.
That's right, and she's still with Troy University and does a wonderful job. And our prayers and our thoughts go out to her and the whole family. And the things that were said were so complimentary of him and his life. And again,
Well, you know what?
I'm sure she would-
I should have put it together because I was going downtown. I go up College Street and I rode by St. Mark's a couple days ago, and it was during the middle of the day, and there was a lot of people at the church, and I said, "Oh no, there's a funeral,"
yeah,
and that must have been Chris's.
no question about it.
Oh.
And we pray for his family today, and also the family of John Johnson. Boy, you talking about a football player. He was a real good football player. He never stopped. I mean, he didn't look like sometimes he was trying hard.
Yeah,
The great ones are like that.
Yeah.
I said, he looks like he's hurt or he's slow getting off the huddle or whatever. Hey, you just getting ready to go again.
You remember how slow Jim Brown was
Yeah,
getting
that's
up
right.
off the...
You're exactly right. That was the name I would remember more than all of them. And we're waiting Mike Amos to call in from Grayton Beach. Again, we hope all of you had a great Christmas.
This
and-
puts it in perspective about why you need to cherish these memories while you still can. I told Maggie, my daughter, when on Christmas Eve we were looking at the tree and they were so excited, and I said, "I want you to remember this always," and she said, "I will." Just
That's right.
the excitement of before Christmas and being with your family.
No question about it. Want to mention also Johnny Oppert in Dothan. Of course, he was honored this weekend as by the city of Dothan, and they named the Civic Center down there after him, and that's going to be something that I'll always remember, because he was a great coach and great leader, and now it'll be named after him. And
Talking about Ozark, I was did my shopping at the last moment as
you go
usual.
to Bearfield.
I did it on the square in Troy. I just hit every business and
Yeah.
I shopped local like I'm supposed
I'm
to,
glad you're
Chamber
sure
of Commerce.
right. You're sure right. And of course, I shot.
And I went in the consignment shop, antique store on the square. I love going in there. And I got myself one of my favorite books. I'll talk about it later. But I was talking to the lady that works there, and she knows a lot about World War II bombers because her late father, flew in one, a B-17. The reason we were thinking about this is they had a model airplane of a B-17. You probably put together a lot of model airplanes. And
No, never.
Never?
That's something I never got into. I couldn't do it.
Oh.
My brother did it, but I couldn't do it.
Battleships and
Some
airplanes.
people could do it. I sure can't.
I did too. My dad did it for me, but I loved them.
And where was
but-
this? Where was this?
At that consignment antique shop right next to WTBF.
Sure.
What's
Oh,
the
yeah.
name of it? I can't think of
That's
the
a
name.
wonderful place. That's
It's
right.
always got some great surprises in there. Well, I was talking to her about World War II and bombers. I think I know a little bit about everything. And she told me that some of the movie 12 O'Clock High with Gregory Peck, which is one of the all-time great war movies,
Yeah.
was filmed in Ozark.
In Ozark.
At Fort Rucker.
Yeah,
There was
I
an
didn't know that.
empty old airfield where they used to train
Yeah,
people in these.
sure.
And that's a 4-star classic movie if you've
And
never
that
seen
is-
it. And it was filmed, or at least part of it, in Ozark, Alabama.
Now Gregory Peck got to know Alabama pretty well, because later on they filmed one of the greatest movies of all time,
They
To
didn't
Kill a Mockingbird over in Monroeville.
set in. Did they film it in Monroeville?
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah, that's where the old courthouse was. Yeah, that's where they filmed it. Hey, somebody call in and let us know for sure. But The Kill a Mockingbird, that great movie, was filmed in Monroeville, Alabama, I think. And, of course, that's where the old courthouse was. And that old courthouse is still there. And
I don't think they filmed it in. I think they patterned the
well-
courthouse exactly after the one in Monroeville. And of course, the author's from Monroeville, and story is really set in Monroeville. I don't think they filmed it in
Well,
Monroeville.
somebody call in. Maybe I'm wrong and you're
But you're right. But Gregory Peck, one of his iconic roles, based on an Alabama book set in Alabama. Then he had a movie set partially in Alabama, although the base was supposed to be in England. And then we got Forrest Gump. Somebody was talking about Forrest Gump to me last night.
Greenbow, Alabama.
My father-in-law, about how when he would reward, he used to be a teacher, and he would reward his students, and they always wanted to watch Forrest Gump. And so we started talking about, well, that movie's set in Alabama, and it's an iconic.
One of the best movies ever, I think.
It wasn't filmed in Alabama, but it was supposedly Alabama.
Greenbow, Alabama. Greenville, of course.
Greenbow,
and when they showed him in a football uniform, it was an Alabama football uniform, and he ran out the end of the stadium. You remember that?
Of course.
And old Brian, Coach Brian made a comment that was one of the more unique. Who wrote that? Do you know?
Winston Groom wrote the book that the movie was based on.
Yeah.
From Alabama,
But
lives in Fairhope, I think.
I tell you what, that was a great movie, and also,
You know who Winston Groom is? If I can interrupt.
yeah.
There's a connection to Troy. He went to University of Alabama and was a fraternity brother of Ken Hendricks, Mr. Hendricks.
Okay, what fraternity was that? Do you remember?
I don't know what fraternity it was, but wasn't Sigma Nu.
But they were fraternity brothers.
They were fraternity brothers. Winston
And he
Groom.
wrote the book.
I've never read the book. I hear it's quite a fair departure
I would
from the
think
movie.
he would be very wealthy right now because I bet they've sold many of those books, and I've watched the movie several times.
The movie was based on the book. So he sold the rights to his novel to whoever the screenwriter was. I've actually had a lot of people say that the movie is a lot better than the book. But
Yeah. Well, you know, some of the great sayings of all time will come out of that movie. Life's just like a bunch of chocolates.
A box of
Box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get.
And I had a box of chocolates last night. I got
You
it
thought
for
about
Christmas.
that, didn't you?
Uh-huh.
You thought about that, didn't you? Of course, it is today in L.A. We're talking to you from our studios on right here in Troy,
How did the
Alabama,
bicycle thing go?
on Brundage Street.
Did y'all give away some
How many
bicycles?
bicycles did we give away? You guys, y'all know? I know this that we were rained on quite a bit trying to get it going, and but old Santa Claus was here Tuesday, and excuse me, on not Tuesday, but Christmas Eve. Good morning, you on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Good morning.
Mike Amos calling in from Great Beach, Florida this morning. Did you have a nice Christmas?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, a lot of parties in Birmingham, and saw a lot of old friends and got to visit with family. It was a good time. Ate too much food as always, and I was back in Grayton yesterday, and you would think it's the middle of summer down here again. Everybody on their bikes and everybody riding around and out and about. Their swim shorts on and bathing suits on. I mean, it's sunny and 75 degrees yesterday.
I tell you what, real pretty. All right, Rice, hold on, Mike. We got a little question going on about the Killing Mockingbird.
Well, thank you to Scott Westfall
Did
for.
it make you a truthful writer or what?
It pays to listen to Bill Rice 90% of the time.
Yeah.
It was filmed on the lot of Universal Studios in Hollywood. They thought about filming it in Monroeville, but they said that the town had undergone too many changes, and in the end was recreated on the Universal Studios Hollywood backlot in Hollywood. So well, in fact, that many people believe the film was made on location.
Yeah. Well, of course, your answer is correct. Mike, I've got some sad news, especially because this guy was a huge, you were a huge fan of this guy. John Johnson, Mike, was killed in a motorcycle accident.
Played football at Charles
Played
Anderson
it,
in Troy?
yes, sir. 24 years old, one of the all-time greats at Charles Henderson High School and at Troy. John Johnson was killed in a motorcycle accident. He played at Troy from 2014 to 2017. 949 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best athletes ever to play at Charles Henderson. I mean, his senior year, he led that unbelievable team to the state championship game. Of course, they lost on
From
Alabama,
Austin Ingram to John Johnson, and boy,
Yeah, I mean, that's just tragic news. I mean, such a young kid, such a good kid. I used to see him in interviews, and we used to interview him on the show all the time.
Yeah.
You know, Coach Dean would have all that team on, most of the great players on the show all the time.
Yeah.
Richard McBride, John Johnson, Austin Ingram, and that's just tragic, horrible news. I hate to hear this. Where did this happen?
I don't know. I want to think it happened in Troy because, of course, he was just 24 years old, and you know he was I gave you those stats. Those 949 yards and 4 touchdowns was his college stats, but hey, his high school stats.
His senior year,
He went over 1,000 yards, don't you think?
1,000 yards. He probably went over 2,500 receiving and rushing.
Yeah, he was really a great player. You no question about it.
He's a guy that should have been redshirted his first year at Troy University, and Coach Brown even said that, you know, we kind of wasted a year on him, and you know, wishes we'd had one more year. You're at the game against Idaho that night, up there where he had like 8 catches for 170 yards.
Yeah, he was a great one and a great guy, great ambassador for Troy football, and was killed in a motorcycle accident Thursday, Mike, which was yesterday.
Wow,
Yesterday.
That's horrible news, and you know, he's a kid that will go down as one of the best athletes of all time at Charles Center.
No question, and great kid.
Great baseball player. And
Oh yeah, he was a great. You're right, he was good in all of them. He's one of the.
all those Derek Iron State Championship teams.
I would put him up there as one of the greatest athletes of all time at Charles Center High School, and there's been some good ones.
We have confirmed that this is that John Johnson.
That's that. I'm looking at a picture and everything, Mike.
It's by the Troy University
you go-
Athletic Department web
You
release.
go to Facebook and find out more information about him.
Yeah, that is devastating news, and there's been a lot of tragedies. I mean, not super close to us, but Geneva County had 3 cheerleaders get killed in a car crash this weekend.
3 cheerleaders.
Yeah,
Oh man.
we've been talking about that before you got on there.
Yeah, and 2 other girls were injured as well in a horrifying wreck. I saw pictures of it.
And it sounded like it was right there in the city limits of Geneva, from what I gather.
Yeah, back to sports. I mean, did you watch Louisiana Tech just dominate Miami yesterday on defense?
That'll tell you something, won't it?
I mean, Skip Holtz. I mean, you talking about a guy that can coach football. I mean, Manny Diaz, you know, was defense coordinator for years and went up against Troy at Middle Tennessee, and I picked La Tech to win that game. But man, I thought Miami would score. I mean, that is just shocking that an ACC team can't even score a point against a team from Conference.
Yeah, that's right. Now, it didn't hurt that they played the game right there next door to their school in Shreveport.
Yeah, they played it. You know, Ruston's really close to Shreveport, and the amazing thing I heard yesterday, which I didn't realize, is apparently Louisiana Tech was undefeated in Conference USA, and then like late in the season they suspended a quarterback for 2 games, and when they suspended him for 2 games, they lost both those games. One of them was to UAB, and that was the reason UAB
I know it.
was able to get into the championship game against Florida Atlantic. So La Tech finishes 10-3, Miami 6-7, and these bowl matchups have been interesting. Eastern Michigan took Pittsburgh to the wire last night, 34-30, and,
Yeah.
and I think at the start of that game, Pittsburgh was 14-point favorite.
You know, the underdog always seems to do well in bowl games. It's like they want it and they got more to prove or something like that. I don't
There's
know.
one team that's interested in playing and another might not be interested in playing. That game last night, Pittsburgh scored in the last seconds to come from behind and win. And I think that
I mean, a lot of good games today. Have y'all seen the slate today? A lot of good games.
We're gonna go over that in a minute and look at it closely. Again, our thoughts are with the families and the friends, so many friends, and the citizens of Geneva. I mean, can you believe what that community is going through? 3 cheerleaders or young girls, beautiful young girls, were killed in a car wreck. I want to say on Christmas Day.
it was
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, from what I read.
And,
Christmas afternoon.
And I'm sure they're.
I was out on the roads the other day, or yesterday coming back, and I didn't see one wreck or anything coming from all the way from Birmingham to Drayton yesterday. So the roads actually weren't too busy yesterday. I was pretty surprised.
Well, there was another wreck, and this one, we had one killed and 2 injured in a wreck with a man from Enterprise that was killed, and that's sad, and had 2 other people injured. Then a helicopter pilot died after an incident at the airport in Headland. The pilot who was operating a helicopter that flipped at the airport Wednesday evening has died, and that's sad news. And
the one that crashed, it just flipped on the runway.
His name was Doug Davis, and our prayers and thoughts go out to him and his family. And again, some terrible things happening right here during the Christmas season. And again, our prayers and our thoughts go out to all of you out there, and all of the families and the friends of all. Geneva won't forget this for a long, long time.
I'm sure they were all active. Well, the superintendent said they were very active in the school, like you would think. So it affects the families and all their close friends. And then I think you have 2 people who were injured. One was seriously injured that we pray for her.
Yeah, we do. Well, and I also want to mention our good friends at Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, and I know they've been busy during the holiday season, and of course, you're looking for a career. Wiley Sanders Truck Lines in Troy, Alabama, can offer you one of the great job opportunities around, and of course, there's so many people right now involved with Sanders Truck Lines right here in Troy, Alabama, and.
They get donated between Wiley Sanders.
I haven't.
They get their 200.
I don't know, but I know it's a lot. A lot. And did they go up? They did go up, didn't they? I don't know if they were able to.
Roy Cable was live on Facebook on Friday or Monday.
Yeah. Well,
maybe Steve
did go live. They didn't go up. They didn't go up. But how many bikes did they sell? Do you know?
God, I don't know. They were gone before I left.
Yeah. But they were out there how long?
Apparently they got out there and Walmart ran y'all off initially.
They were there at 5:30, Mike. So you know how bad the weather was. Wasn't the weather real bad?
It cleared up by then.
Yeah.
But they were under a tent.
They were under a tent while they were but they were out there all day.
In front of an 18-wheeler, and he had somebody in the truck, and he was live in front of the 18-wheeler from what I was watching.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, it was a great thing that they did.
A great gesture. That's what Christmas is supposed to be.
And also want to say hello to Kelly Sanders and her great benefit of Turkeys from Heaven, and it went over great. Over 500 turkeys were given out, and a lot of volunteers, including our own Steve Camp, and took over out at the Cattleman's Pavilion, out at the Cattleman Center there on Highway 231 South, and they got the turkeys cooked and out to the families.
Wow. That's a lot of logistics involved in that operation.
No question. And Kelly, if you're watching this morning, another great program that you put on, and I know there's a lot of happy people out there that receive one of these turkeys, and also for the folks that worked so hard to make it happen, and I know you're proud of them. And Ms. Kelly Sanders, our hats off again.
And think about people are still eating those turkey sandwiches from those turkeys, I bet, too.
No question about it. No question about it. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Discounts, big selection, and really big deals. It's the big pre-owned sale. Only at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Pre-owned vehicles start at $29.95. Over 50 vehicles under $15,000. $29 down. And you can drive today or take advantage of payments starting at $99 a month. That's $29 down. And payments starting as low as $99. From Montgomery to Dothan, the best pre-owned deal are at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or online at PremierChrysler.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
At Marguerite's, we've been designing and crafting custom jewelry for 4 generations. It's an art for master jewelers. There's really no room for error. It doesn't matter how big the diamond is. You don't expect anything less than perfection. What matters is quality, beauty, and value. After all these decades, your engagement ring is still our greatest pride. Marguerite's exquisite jewelry.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Know-how, Napa Know-How. Big discounts, big selection, and really big deals. It's the big pre-owned sale. Only at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Pre-owned vehicles start at $29.95. Over 50 vehicles under $15,000. $29 down. And you can drive today or take advantage of payments starting at $99 a month. That's $29 down. And payments starting as low as $99. From Montgomery to Dothan. The best pre-owned deal are at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or online at PremierChrysler.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal.
Photography Sports Illustrated does is just fantastic.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Circle Insurance in Ozark, and of course my good friend Sam Judah, one of the largest insurers in the Wiregrass, and we appreciate him and how long he supported our show. And also our good friends at Bearfields, and of course Mike Bearfield, one of the great men's store and women's store you'll find anywhere in Alabama or Northwest Florida. They have first quality merchandise, and a lot of that merchandise is on sale right now. So a trip to Ozark to Bearfields, I promise you, would be a good idea today if you want some great deals on some wonderful, wonderful clothing, shoes, and good little.
Peter Millar, they have unbelievable Peter Millar.
Yeah. And I tell you something else too. They've got the best sunglass collection you'll find anyway. If you want to buy sunglasses, it's a great place to go. And your favorite is sold there.
But they have, I'm sure they have Cosa Del Mars.
Yeah, that's right. They got Cosa.
You know, the Hall of Fame, I was looking at the Troy Hall of Fame, and an interesting name, because you'll know her son, who's one of the top players from Atlanta Braves, Dansby Swanson.
Yeah.
His mom was inducted in the Hall of Fame, Nancy Dansby Swanson. She's from Marietta, Georgia. She was a great tennis player at Troy, so she'll go in as a tennis player into the Hall of Fame, but she also started on the women's basketball team and averaged 12.4 points per game.
Gosh,
And,
I didn't know that.
Now, I'm thinking she was married to Cuda Swanson. Is that right?
Dad, her name is Dansby.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I hope so. He might be his sister. I didn't know.
Wasn't Cooter Cooter was a great player, wasn't he?
And Cuda was a great player. He played some under, I think he played a year under Coach Riddle, but he played under Joe Hollis at Troy. He was a great player. And, of course, like he said, his son is a starting shortstop for her son, the starting shortstop, or his son, or
Both
or
their
is this
sons,
his
their
grandson? Is this his grandson?
No, their son.
Or is their son is the shortstop for the Atlanta Braves? And that is great.
The other brother's name is Chase.
Yeah, that's right. There's more. There's a lot of chases out there, and you're right. And Cooter, of course, was a great player at Troy, and of course has helped Troy recruit a lot over the years. Another name going into the Hall of Fame is Mark King, great center, two-time All-American, and that back then the Kodak All-American was the All-American.
Yeah,
and he was a two-time Kodak All-American, Mike. He transferred to Troy from Florida, where he had two outstanding years. And KT Kohler, like this, he's a former Marine, and I think he had a career in the Marine Corps. So the chancellor will like that, you know.
He was a guy that, when I worked in the athletic department in college, you had the famous Red Room.
That's right.
When you went into the Red Room, all the All-Americans pictures were in there. So when I was a kid, of course, I idolized all these All-Americans in the Red Room. So I would go around and read all the information Nation.
All right, let's see how well you remember. Let's see how well you remember. Name me a few of them.
In the Red Room?
In the Red Room.
I can name a couple.
Well, I mean, Robert Bradley, I remember.
Robert Bradley.
Perry Griggs.
Perry Griggs was a good one. You're right.
Mike Turk was in there.
Mike Turk.
Kerry Christensen was in there.
Kerry Christensen.
Gary
What-
Griffin was in there.
Kerry Christensen was in there. He wasn't All-American, was he?
I want to say he was in there.
I don't think he was in there. Ronnie Shelley was in there, and Sim Bird was in there.
Mitch Geyer was in there.
Mitch Geyer.
What about the safety that played with Turk? He was
Mitch Geyer, yeah.
Yeah, the guy that Willie Tullis was in there.
Willie Tullis was in there. You're exactly right. He was in there.
What about
Danny Grant. Danny Grant was in there.
That's right, yeah.
Boy.
But yeah, I mean, all these different names, different plaques up
Yeah.
in the Red Room, yeah.
And then, of course, Mike, you had some golfers on the board in there, too, and some basketball players. And I like that Red Room, and I wish they would do something again to honor these, these pure All-Americans, not these runner-ups or anything like that, but these, like with Mark King, he was a two-time Kodak All-American. Another Kodak All-American was the great Perry Griggs. He was a Kodak All-American.
Yeah, Freddie Thomas was too.
Yeah, Freddie
That's what
Thomas.
I was talking about.
Freddie
That
Thomas.
safety that played with Turk. Yeah.
That's right. Freddie Thomas was an All-American, and
What about people like?
He was an All-American at the Lincoln plant in Lincoln, Alabama, building Hondas.
that's right. No question about it.
What about
One of the
Sherman
great
Wilkerson?
people.
Y'all remember him? He was a
Sherman Wilkerson out of Enterprise, Alabama. Now he wasn't All-American, but he was a great player.
He played in the pros for a little while.
Yeah, he did. It's been a
And
lot.
we had
of
one.
them.
Who was that receiver that was a Smurf for the Washington Redskins? Ran back up the
he was
shade.
an All-American. He was an All-American. Virgil C.
Virgil Say.
Virgil Say. Tell you something Virgil Say did one night, Mike, that was very unusual.
I can tell you. He ran back 3 kicks
He
in
ran
one
back 3 punts in one game.
game for touchdowns.
and he went on and, like he said, became a Smurf and played on the World Championship Washington Redskins. And y'all know who that quarterback for the Redskins was?
Doug Williams
You're right.
for Grambling.
Doug Williams, former Grambling quarterback, was the quarterback on that team. And there was a running back on that team that was pretty good, too. Do y'all remember him?
John Riggins.
You're right. You win a cup of coffee from your favorite, the place of your choice.
His iconic run was in that Super Bowl, and he broke
right.
he broke the tackle of who? Come on, everybody! In the Washington Redskins versus Miami Dolphins Super Bowl.
Oh, Captain Crunch.
No, he
That
broke
was
the tackle and went the distance, and there's a super slow mo.
Bon Connie.
Bob Baumhauer.
Well, they were Bob
No,
Baumhauer was
no.
on that team, so y'all getting close.
No, the other boy played at Alabama, Mike.
McNeil.
Don McNeil, Michael
Don
Amos.
McNeil.
He was the cornerback, and gosh, I've
Yeah.
seen that replay so many times. He just grabbed him and held on to him for about 5 yards.
Think of those guys. A lot of Troy players were on that great undefeated Dolphin team. McNeil was one of them. Then, of course, you had Captain Crunch. Mike Colin was on that team.
For a while, there was
Auburn.
Yeah.
You had
Baumhauer,
as
Don
running
McNeil,
back. You had running back with a great one from
Tony,
Alabama.
Tony Nathan,
Tony Nathan was on
Dwight
that
Stevenson was in the Hall of Fame.
team. Dwight Stevenson. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, they're great ones.
And there's still some more.
Dwight Stevenson only played 9 years in the NFL and still made the Hall of Fame. That tells you what kind of player he was.
Well, there were some great centers at Alabama.
He might be one of the all-time best.
You had.
I think some people think that Dwight Stevenson was the best NFL center of all time,
Yeah.
just like John Hanna was the best guard.
Best guard, yeah. No question about it.
You know what ended Dwight Stevenson's career? This is ironic. Y'all remember that?
No, no,
It
I
was on a
don't.
Monday night football game.
What?
There was a
Chop block.
chop block on an interception or a fumble return, and Marty Lyons, a former teammate of Dwight Stevenson, a New York Jet defensive lineman, blocked Dwight Stevenson for a blindside block in the knee, destroyed his knee, and he never played football again.
I tell you something he did become. He was a strength coach at Alabama for a long time, wasn't he?
That was Rich Wingo.
No, he was too, though.
Marty Lyons?
No, Stevenson.
No, Stevenson never was there.
What?
No, he's
Stevenson did. Yes, he was too. Now he used to coach at Alabama.
No, you're right. There was a former center and nose guard that played for the Green Bay Packers that is still at Alabama. He's an assistant.
Terry Jones was there.
Oh, maybe that's it. I'm sorry. Okay. Dwight Stevenson, though.
He was a little after Dwight Stevenson.
Yeah. But I do remember Terry Jones. You're exactly right. Also, a good friend of ours, Mike, opens up his new building this week. Did you know that, Mike, in Tuscaloosa?
Who's that? Steve Williams?
Steve Williams opens up his business that he's been wanting to happen for a long time, and it's got a bowling alley in it. It's got games in it. It's going to be very unique.
Tell him to call my little brother, who's the publisher of the Tuscaloosa News, and buy some ads.
He's looking for people to hire. He's wanting to hire people right now to work at that facility, and it's going to be a fun place to go. Eastern Michigan, Mike, the headline says, Eastern Michigan quarterback Mike Glass ejected after striking Pittsburgh player and the referee. With 10 seconds left to play in the Quick Lane Bowl, Eastern Michigan quarterback Mike Glass III was ejected after striking a Pittsburgh defender in the head, then hitting and knocking one of the game's referees while taking a swing at another opposing player. With 10 seconds left, you reckon he'll be invited back?
That's like the Ole Miss player doing what he did.
And the Eastern Michigan lost to Pittsburgh 34-30 in that game played last night. The Quick Lane Bowl.
You know, who was probably the greatest player, one of the greatest players to ever play at Pitt. A tight end named Mike Ditka.
Yeah, the quarterback was pretty good too, wasn't he?
Dan Marino, you're right.
Marino. And then there was a running back that was pretty good.
Tony Dorsett.
You know what? That's three of the best football players in history right
Hall
there.
Hall of Famers right there. I watched the documentary on that 1985 or 86 Bears team that was so dominant on defense.
Yeah.
And
with Butkus and all them?
Well, no, it was Walter Payton and Wilbur Marshall and Mike Singletary and then
McMahon was the quarterback.
It was Buddy Ryan was the defensive coordinator and Ditka was the head coach, and they apparently couldn't stand each other.
They couldn't?
I mean, there was all kind of friction and characters on this team.
McMahon was the quarterback, wasn't he?
McMahon, he was a great character.
Yeah.
It was one of these 30 for 30 shows, and once you start watching those shows, you're going to watch all of it.
Coming in here.
You know, Dwight Stevenson only played from 1980 to 1987, so I guess he played 8 years.
Yeah. We got all kinds of information coming in, and this is fun.
That's amazing that he made the Hall of Fame. He was just that great.
Who was that?
He was that great. If you watched him,
Stevens.
Oh yeah.
Who watches the offensive line? Very few of us. But when the Dolphins played, I watched Dwight Stevenson, and he was great. And when the New England Patriots played, I watched John Hanna, and he destroyed everybody he blocked.
You know, we didn't get to watch.
He gave up the fewest sacks in the NFL for 6 straight seasons when he was the center.
Now that is phenomenal.
Bill Rice called it sustaining a left knee injury play in a play involving New York Jets, Marty Lyons and Joe Klecko.
It was a dirty shot. And that's the funny, because Marty Lyons is a real class guy. He was the NFL's Man of the Year one year, and he's done well after football, so it's completely out of character for Marty Lyons to do that. I guess he was just caught up in the moment.
You know, we didn't get to see the young men from Abbeville play in the pros because of what injury? You know who I'm talking about?
Abbeville.
From Abbeville, Alabama, the great defensive end at Alabama.
Oh, Leroy Cook.
His name was Leroy Cook.
He got hurt, that's right.
And he got hurt, and how did he get hurt? You know.
Celebrating
he was celebrating a touchdown or a tackle. Baumhauer, he and Baumhauer jumped up together. You know, everybody, you see all those guys jump up and do that.
Headbutt
thing. He tore his leg up and never played down pro football after that.
Yeah, they say he was great.
And he was a great one out of Abbeville, Alabama. What was his name again?
Leroy Cook.
Leroy Cook.
He played the same time Randy Walls played at Brundage. Yeah. I've read a story about Leroy Cook and said he was recruited by Auburn, and that his host on his recruiting trip was Randy Walls, who must have been a year or two older. And they could not stand each other. They were rivals in high school, and they just said it was very, very strange that they would
Leroy
ask.
Cook.
Leroy Cook and Randy Walls did not get along.
Oh boy.
Or Leroy Cook did not like Randy Walls. Let's put it that way. So when he went to Auburn, they chose the wrong person to be his host, and he ended up at Alabama, where guess they recruited him to Alabama. Pat Dye.
Yeah.
Pat Dye did a lot for Alabama.
Oh yeah. Oh, he was there for about 8 or 9 years. He actually recruited me. I was being recruited by Alabama, and of course the other one came out of a little town south of here or west of here. Oh gosh, right next to Greenville. What's the name of that little town? I can't remember it now, but
where Leroy Jordan's from? Excel?
Leroy was from Excel, and this guy was later on was a coach in the pros, and he was a coach in the
Fort
college.
Deposit, Richard Williamson?
Well, Richard Williamson was one of the guys, and Ken Meyer was the other guy that recruited me, and Buck Corley, and we made a couple of trips up there. It was a lot of fun. Dave Edwards, oh gosh, what was the other great football player that came out of Abbeville? Y'all know? I just let it slip, and y'all didn't hear it. He played for the Dallas Cowboys. He was a linebacker.
Really? From Abbeville?
Yeah, from Abbeville. His name was Dave Edwards. The late, great Dave Edwards was his name, and of course he played at Mississippi State as a linebacker. I think that's right.
Pat Dye recruited Wilbur Jackson out of Ozark, so he must have had the Wiregrass. That must have been his territory, Pat Dye.
That's right, and you know what? He would spend the night with Marvin Barron's mama a lot of times, and he was recruiting Marvin Barron and DeBose at the same time. Barron was a year older than DeBose, so he signed Barron, and then he was recruiting DeBose. DeBose was a great linebacker.
I heard he was something in high school.
I mean, college. He was a great college linebacker, and of course, was a great high school linebacker. And
he used to make 30 tackles a game in high school.
Well, he made 33 against us one night, but you know what? We won the ball game because he got leg cramps. And Ricky Huno, who was a great player at Charles Henderson, scored 2 times, and we beat 14-0.
Wow, y'all beat DuBose.
Beat DuBose.
That was
good. And of course, that was Dale Taylor's senior year. And Dale wasn't an All-American by the means, but I'll tell you.
How many times you gonna tell this story?
I'll tell this story about Dale Taylor.
I haven't heard it.
You know, Dale Taylor doesn't look like a football player, but he was a good football player, and he played wide receiver. And I was responsible for the backside wide receivers on offense and the front 3 on defense. So I told we were going to crack back on DuBose, and if we crack back, we might score. Well, cracking back, what it is, linebacker here, you crack. He doesn't see you coming. You crack back. I mean, he's watching the line of scrimmage, and you're a wide receiver. You come down on him, and he doesn't see you. It's a crackback. You know what a crackback block is. Well, we couldn't move it, and I said, Dale, can't you block that guy? He said, Coach, it's like hitting a light pole. That's what he said. He said, it's like hitting a light pole, and sure enough, Dale would go down on him, and like it was just like hitting a light pole. He just bounced off of it. And that game, DuBose made 33 tackles.
Wow.
But we did beat him, and I think Dale was just he might have been a senior on that team. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, you see Dale Taylor at the insurance company. He don't look like a football player, but he was.
I mean, back then, could you actually play for a state championship?
No, the top 4 went, and this was Marvin Barron's senior year, and we went to play Russellville in the first round of the playoffs, and they had a great team. They had won 33 straight, and we got up there, and that stadium was packed with people, 10 to 12,000 people at their stadium. and they beat us on a last-second field goal, 10-7. And the guy never kicked a field goal again. Kicked a 47-yard field goal with 10 seconds left, and it was the first field goal they ever kicked.
And they went on to
we
win the
lost
state
ball
championship,
game.
right?
But James Davis played, and Steve Flowers played on that team. They were seniors on that team.
Gary
along with
Pruitt didn't win.
Marvin Barrington. Now, Larry Pruitt played in that game. Larry, of course, Gary later on was a good player himself, but Ben Smith was on that team, and like I said, Steve Flowers. Steve Flowers made a fabulous catch in that game.
Wow.
And to set up a touchdown. And of course, James Davis hit a guy that people still talk about it. You could hear it all over that stadium. You know how many times has the coach told you, don't stand around a punt. Don't like everybody comes down on the guy catching the punt. Don't stand around, get in a hidden position. Well, their guy wasn't in a hidden position. He was standing straight up, and James Davis liked to kill him. Hit him on the blind side,
Those are now penalties. They got a penalty. They call that a blindside block now.
Exactly.
Michael Thomas, from my era, did the same thing against Greenville in the playoff game. He peeled back on somebody on the punt return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Ken Anderson ran a punt back won the game for us. Everybody in the stadium saw that block coming. After they saw it, then they heard it. It was pow.
Yeah. They were we call a monster. It was a 5-2 monster defense, and we had some monsters. Can you tell us some of who those monsters were?
On that team you're talking about,
No. Well, for about 3 or 4 years, there was a different monster, and all of them are well-known people in our town.
Mike Hogan.
Mike Hogan was one of them.
Billy Johns.
No, I never heard of Billy Johns.
He played a couple years for Rush.
I'll tell you, give you the last name, Kelly. Mark Kelly.
All right.
Mark Kelly, call him Mama. He was a very good runner. And Tatum, you remember Tatum? Mark Tatum?
Yep.
You remember him?
Yeah.
Those right there were 3 real good monster defensive players that played under Jim Tompkins.
They're monster men. There's like a strong
Monster
safety.
man, that's right. Monster right, monster left, and hopefully they make the tackle.
You know who was the monster man on that state championship team in 1980 was a guy named Kenneth Felton.
Oh, yeah.
Who was the little brother of Dr. Felton, who
That's
became
right.
the superintendent of education.
Yeah, you know a lot about that. The linebacker, the middle linebacker, and he was a great high school player. Now, a lot of times you say, well, he's a great college player. Well, there are a lot of great high school players out there. And this guy, this middle linebacker, tell us who his name was.
Well, it's Neil Armstrong's brother-in-law.
Yep,
Paul
Shiver.
Paul
Paul Shiver was a fabulous linebacker. Played on a 6 diamond.
He was. I called it a 6'1". He was just. He was just a middle
He was a
linebacker.
diamond guy. Now, he was supposed to make a lot of tackles.
Because he had the defensive lineman
right.
matched up on just about every blocker, so he was free.
And perhaps, if he's not the best player to ever play at Charles Citizen High School, he's one of the top 5 players to ever put on an orange jersey. His name was Willie
Collins.
Collins.
He was. I agree with that.
The great player, became a policeman in Troy and retired now and coached for a long time.
Will you agree with
Willie
this, Mike?
Collins, if Willie Collins had been 3 inches taller, he'd been a household word.
Yeah, he would have been in the
He
NFL.
was that good.
How was Willie's numbers at Troy when he was at Troy University? I mean, he's a guy that probably could be in the Hall
He
of Fame.
played down lineman. He
was a second or third string All-American or All-Conference player.
Oh, yeah, he was a great player at Troy. He was a great player. He wasn't a linebacker there. He was a down guy. And
Defensive 5 or defensive.
Mean, and if you want to put in a dictionary next to the word mean, you put his picture. He was a mean mother, boy, I tell you, and really played hard every snap.
Because Jeffcoat had to stay on his butt in high school, and he didn't. But he took his butt tunings well, and he had more little baby fat in high school, which he still didn't want to mess with him. And then he got to college, and I think he discovered the weight room and got a little lean and mean.
That's right. Well, the weight room came with Jim Tompkins.
The crazy thing is he used to umpire baseball games.
Oh, yeah.
And there weren't too many people that wanted to argue with him. When he started arguing with people, it was bad news.
He also coached at Charles Simpson
one
for a
night,
long
and
time.
he got on me, and
Got into it with me one night.
huh?
You probably argued with him.
Yeah, I argued with him a couple of times. You know, but what I worried about was James Lucas arguing with him. Because, you know, James did take people, he took people pretty serious. And, of course, he was a heck of a player himself. But Willie Collins being the umpire behind the plate, you didn't say a whole lot. If he told you the way it's going to be, it's going to be his way to be. I hope he's watching this morning. He's a great, great player.
You know, if you're going to have a championship team, you need some great defensive linemen. And Charles Simpson had Willie Collins, had some other good ones
Willie
too,
Collins,
but he was
yeah.
the best.
You know, the ones
It's like I remember that '92 Alabama defense that was so good. It was Curry and Copeland. Curry got a lot of press, but you know the one that was really the Willie Collins of that team was John Copeland. And Auburn had one this year. What's that guy's name, Michael? This All-American?
From Greenville?
No, well, he was good too.
You're talking about Derek Brown.
Derek
Yeah,
Brown
yeah.
was a man.
And, of course, you know, you can almost count on your hand some of the great linemen in Charles Henderson history. And Willie Collins would be one, and Marvin Barron would definitely be one. You know, the sad thing about Marvin Barron was he played nose tackle for Charles Henderson. Of course, they went 9-1 and played for state championship really pretty much because the next week Russell goes over to Sachs of Anderson and beats them 55-10.
So
we felt like we had the second best team in the state that year. But
I did.
to have a guy like Marvin Barron playing your nose that ran 10 500-yard dash. I mean, hey, he would have been a great tailback or fullback. Would you have liked to have tackled Marvin Barron? You know, but we didn't use him that way. He was used strictly as a defensive lineman and offensive lineman, and he was a great player, no question. And then to go with Willie Collins, he was a great one too. And I'm sure there's several.
These big defensive linemen
Several good ones
if you
on
can
that
find some.
That's
why Alabama's defense has dropped off.
Yeah.
If you really want to know the truth,
Yeah.
is they don't have the Hall defensive linemen they used to.
We had a big defensive nose guard that played at Southern Miss, and I'm trying to think of his name. He was a good football player, but he went to Southern Miss, and I can't remember him. I bet you Mike Hogan could.
Yeah, I mean, Charles Henderson had tons of guys go. I mean, one of the best players at Southern Miss was the defensive lineman, defensive end.
Yeah.
Terrell Paul.
Yeah, you remember the great Terrell Paul?
He was really
Man, was he a good
He
player.
was on that undefeated team at Southern Miss that Bauer had.
And he was really a great player.
I think he played for 4 years. And
Did you see the guy for the Packers the other night that was destroying the Minnesota Vikings defense? His name was Zeke Smith. And he played 1 year of high school football at Greenville High School. He told the story in the press conference that Ben Blackman got him to go out for football his senior year because he didn't know if he was going to get enough scholarship offers in basketball. So this guy's at Greenville High School. He plays 1 year, gets 11 sacks his senior year. He had 4 sacks against the Vikings the other night.
where'd he go to college?
All right.
And he went to college at Scuba, and then the only only SEC team that offered him was Kentucky.
And Mike, his name was Zeke Smith. Do you know there was an All-American lineman that played both ways at Auburn? Have you ever heard of the name Zeke Smith and Jackie Burkett,
Yeah.
2 All-Americans on the 57 Auburn National Championship team? His name was Zeke Smith, and what town did he come from, Mike?
I don't know.
If you can remember this, son, you can. I'm gonna buy you a hamburger. You know what town he played for? It was over there where one of your old girlfriends used to live.
York?
Not York, but it's close. I'm gonna get him in trouble.
Livingston?
No, not Livingston, but on the way to the Mississippi line.
Butler or Demopolis?
No, my boss man.
Wilcox County somewhere?
No, it's not Wilcox County, but it's on the way. It's on the other side of Selma.
Sardis.
Uniontown. He hit it. And I'm going to buy you a hamburger one day before I die.
Green Sandwich Shop.
And let me just say this. Zeke Smith was a great one. He was an All-American, Kodak All-American from Uniontown, Alabama. And, of course, he played at Auburn along with the great Jackie Burkett. You've heard that name, haven't you?
I think Dad played against some of those guys once.
There were a lot of great players on that Auburn team, but two of the names that made All-American were Zeke Smith and Jackie Burkett.
Yeah.
Of course, there's some other players on that team that were pretty good. One of them was Billy Atkins. One of them was Tommy Loreno.
A couple years before that was Vince Dooley and Bob James.
Yeah, Vince Dooley played a little bit further than that. Bob James played in 55, 54.
Scarborough? Bob Scarborough?
Bob Scarborough from Auburn started at center. What?
The guy played
No, guard.
I had his name wrong. His son Zeke is Zadarius.
Oh, okay.
You know what the lesson of that story is, though,
There.
Michael? Is that there are a lot of basketball players that are good in basketball. They should keep playing basketball, but their future would be in football, and some of them don't even play football.
Ladies and gentlemen, as a longtime announcer, I called Charles Simpson football for 35 years, and we went everywhere, and we did all the replays, and you saw Charles Simpson football every week on Troy Cable. And one guy named Mike, and he ended up going to Auburn, and I told him, I said, it's no way in the world I'm going to call this guy's name out every time. I got to come up with a nickname. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I guess Rah White or something.
No, Rah White wasn't hard, Mike, but we're talking about with a Z. He played his senior year at running back. We found out how good a running back he was. He went on to Auburn.
Zachary?
Got her, yeah. All right, what was it? Zach
Etheridge?
Zach Etheridge. But his first real name was what?
Zacharias?
Zacharias, and I said, well, I'm going to change this guy's name, and I had the opportunity to do it because I'm the announcer, and that linebacker, Zach Etheridge, and sure enough, he goes to Auburn, and he plays and makes a great football player, but everybody called him Zach.
I thought he was on the national championship team.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Sure was. He got a national championship ring.
I grew up with Osaji Foe Grubbs.
Oh gosh. Man, why did y'all do that to that poor boy? You know, ladies and gentlemen, of course, he was a good player and a great student, and his name was Osaja Foe Grubbs, and what do we call him? We call him Saj.
Yeah, his mom was the principal at Shellhorn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, great family. Great family.
His dad was a lawyer. Of course, Sykes-Fo's a lawyer now and a sports agent.
Yeah. Oh, I
Is
tell
he
you,
really?
he's a smart guy. And we call him Saj. Call him Saj, and that's.
I'm going to become a sports agent because they're going to have this fair pay for fair play law that's going to go nationwide, where players can now get paid legally as long as you're paid by a sports agent. And you don't define what a sports agent is.
Boy,
Every booster is going to become a sports agent.
Yeah. Mike, they say Jacob Easton is leaving Washington early to go play in the pros.
He is talking to a sports agent.
He probably won't even be drafted, will he?
Yes, he will.
They say it's the top out of the quarterbacks. He's probably number 5 that's heading in the draft. Something like in the second round.
Yeah. All right, Louisiana Tech beats Miami last night.
He's a guy that only played 1 year at Washington. You know, had to sit out a year, and then played a little bit of Georgia, but then got beat out by Fromm.
Now we got a big game going, and of course we want to mention our good friends at Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass. I am courting. I have got a brand new truck in my yard today, and boy, thanks to a great deal from Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass right here in Troy.
How'd you get to work today? You didn't drive that to work?
Oh, yes, sir. It's sitting there out there in the parking lot right now. But I'm trying to. You know, when you buy a brand new truck, you're trying to find somewhere where they don't open the door on you and make a scratch.
Well, didn't you just get a new car about a couple months ago?
Something's wrong with me.
He's going crazy.
I bought 4 cars in the last, and you know what? And I had a F-150 that I still have. If anybody wants to buy it, hey, I still got that truck.
We got about 300,000 miles.
But I bought it new in 2007 and had not had a new car since. And this year I've had 4 cars. Name them, Mike. What were they?
You had a Nissan Armada.
No, that wasn't it. That wasn't the first one.
Well, that's what I thought you had was.
No, Mike. No, you don't even know how many I had. Go ahead.
You had the big Nissan SUV. Then you had
I had the Ultra. I had the it wasn't the Ultra. What do you call them?
It was called an Armada, Nissan Armada.
No, Mike. This was.
What was your SUV that was a Nissan?
I'm talking about the big truck I had.
Yeah, but you had the Toyota Tundra.
Tundra. I had the Toyota Tundra, then the Armada,
Then you had the Armada. Then you had a Jeep.
Then I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee, a great car.
And now you got a Ram Hemi truck.
Now I have a Ram Hemi truck. So that's sort of crazy, isn't it?
Apparently you won the lottery, and I don't know about it.
The car dealerships like it when Mike Amos walks in.
Well, let me tell you this. I'm a sucker if they ever want one. No, I have a wonderful, every one of them were great vehicles. Boy, you know, that Armada was a fabulous.
I love that car. I also said that was going to be a hand-me-down.
And of course, I put new leather seats in it and all that, too. It's brand new. But the Premier is a great place to buy an automobile if you want. Not only can they beat anybody's deal, they beat you because they'll outprice you. I mean, let me tell you something. Price sells cars, and of course they've got the. I went in the other day to get an oil change, and
what sells real estate?
What
sells
location? Selling real estate.
Let me ask you about real estate. How long do y'all keep the white lights on up on Crow Hill?
Until we get tired of them. It's always first of the year.
Okay, so we can still ride. Our kids, I haven't taken our kids up there.
That's right. They go off usually. Mine go off on the day after New Year's.
Okay.
They're on New Year's
we
Day.
go tonight.
Yeah, that's right. They'll be open.
I'll tell you what, Dad, if you want to see some lights, you've got to drop Rosemary Beach through Alice Beach to Seaside. Seaside, I've never seen so many lights in my life. You would go crazy.
I will be riding through there.
Where do they put them on? All the houses and businesses?
All the palm trees are covered head to toe. I mean, every single building's covered with lights. It's just unbelievable. And these Christmas trees, some of them are 30 feet high.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That would be worth seeing.
It's a beautiful place. And, Mike, you're getting another Christmas present. It's in the back of my truck as we speak. So be ready to be there to help me unload it.
I've been telling the girls about it. They're really excited about it.
I didn't go on the show Monday because I knew y'all were gonna be on the site out in the rain, and I've got a little cold.
Yeah.
So about 9:15, there's a knock on my door, and I'm working on my computer, working on one of my stories, and I go, and there's Santa Claus at the front door. He looks a lot like Mike Amos.
Did all your children get to see it?
My wife did. My children were still asleep.
They were still asleep. I think y'all were still asleep too, weren't you?
I was doing research for one of my stories.
But it was a lot of fun, no question.
9 o'clock at night?
No, in the morning. In the morning, after the show. Hey, I had to give me his Christmas present. I was going out of town. Okay, here's the ones today. North Carolina playing Temple today, and gosh, man,
I don't know. You tell us, Michael. What do we? Some of these games I have no clue. Although I picked them in our picking shows.
I know it. I've already picked some of them too, and gosh, so far, you know.
I've got the two biggest upsets so far. I took Liberty and I took La Tech.
Yeah, you're doing good.
Jason took Liberty too, and.
I'm a big Hugh Freeze fan. I think he's a guy that's going to end up being back into big-time college football.
All right, let's go down it right now. Liberty beat Georgia Southern.
Yep.
Florida Atlantic beat SMU, beat them like a drum.
Yeah, they sure did.
Yeah, that was a shocking game. Lane Kiffin's not even coaching, and they still destroyed SMU.
Arkansas State beats Florida International. Boise State got killed by Washington. Washington killed them. Appalachian State came from 14 points down to beat UAB. Mike, UCF, did they beat Marshall?
Oh, yeah, they blew them out.
Yeah, they're really good.
Can we go back to UAB?
Yeah, go back.
I was watching.
Coffee.
You know, attendance is a big thing at UAB since they canceled the program and brought it back, and everybody said, "Oh, we're going to support the team this time and have great crowds." I was watching the highlights from UAB Louisiana Tech. Michael mentioned it earlier. In one of these bowl games, they showed some of the highlights, and they messed up and showed the bleachers in Legion Field, and almost a panoramic shot. It looked to me like there were 3,000 people in Legion Field.
They made their money off advertisement, what they do.
Well, I mean, you're not talking about Legion Field. You're talking about
Legion Field when UAB was playing some home game this year.
Yeah, home game, yeah.
I'll tell you, it was November 23rd. I don't know if that was the week of Alabama-Auburn, so maybe everybody's watching the Iron Bowl. But I was shocked and the UAB's having a very good year. how few people were in.
This new stadium, though, is going to make a huge difference. They're building hotels everywhere around it. This is going to be a great place, great venue, Mike. And we were talking. My son-in-law's been out there. It's where you
They've already got the high.
you go to this restaurant. You go to this restaurant, or bar, whatever. Whether you're having a drink or you eating a steak, there are people hitting golf balls. Tell us how that works, Mike.
It's called Top Golf. It's basically
It,
indoor driving range, restaurant / bar. You have waitresses and bartenders, and you're basically, kind of just having a good time, hitting golf balls, and you got all kinds of different targets to hit. So it's a lot of fun.
do you win prizes if you hit some old targets?
I mean, you just beat your buddy, I guess,
Yeah.
or beat your
Here
wife.
comes coffee. Here comes coffee. Dum dum dum.
How much is that stadium going to cost Birmingham to build that stadium?
I think the bid was Braswell Gorey got it for $172 million.
So the taxpayers are on the hook for $172 million.
Gory, along with Hoare Construction, are two of the biggest construction companies in the world, aren't they?
Yeah, and he's
Yeah, I was going with my wife to eat.
Now, hey, listen, I don't want people to think I said something bad. The name of it is Hoare Construction.
Yeah, HOAR.
Yeah.
But I was going to eat lunch, and I saw Miller Gorey walking across the street.
Yeah.
And I said, that's a really wealthy man to be walking across the street right there. And he's married to a lady from Troy.
you got it
Married to a
right.
lady from Troy lives right across the street from, right there on West College Street.
2 years older than my mom and dad, and I met them, and just down to earth, regular
Yeah.
people. You would never know that they were some of the richest people in America.
And then another one of the richest people. Look here, it's coming in here. Some more information. Oh, here's another sad story, Mike. And knowing you, you'll know this better than anybody else. Because I know you keep up with stuff like this. ESPN reporter Edward Ashkoff dies of pneumonia on his 34th birthday. He contracted the disease during the Ohio State. He got the disease during the Ohio State-Michigan game.
Well, how do you get a disease that fast? I mean, that wasn't that long ago.
I know it. His name again is.
I mean, he was an ESPN announcer and, did sidelines and wrote articles for ESPN.com. Yeah, just a young guy, only 34.
We are very sorry to have to share this devastating news of the tragic passing of a friend and ESPN colleague, Edward Ashkoff. He died earlier today, his 34th birthday. Our thoughts are with his loved ones, including his fiancée, Katie. Just weeks before this tragedy, Ashkoff stated himself that he caught pneumonia while covering the Ohio State-Michigan game in late November. Ladies and gentlemen, that is sad news, and for this young man,
What? So I had pneumonia a
I
couple
don't know
months
if you
ago.
can catch this or not, but here he is, a picture of him, and
I didn't know you could die from pneummonia that quick.
and then
He
of
had
course here's the picture of John
multifocal
Johnson
bilateral pneumonia.
right here. Is all this in AOL.com or is it Facebook? It's on Facebook, isn't it? What do
You know,
say?
when I had pneumonia, I had a terrible cough, which this guy had.
No
Scary.
question about it. What did you say there about that? Ladies and gentlemen, this show is laid back. We're coming to you from our studios on South Brundage Street in Troy, Alabama. We're on Facebook. And ladies and gentlemen, last I heard, over 2 billion subscribers are on Facebook. So for you 2 billion people watching out there today, I hope you had a great Christmas and you're looking forward to a wonderful, wonderful new year. And already, Mike, I've been going to several parties, and I got a party to go to Saturday night down at Alice Beach. Did it get any bigger than that? Alice Beach?
Yeah, it's going to be a big champagne party. It's going to be sipping on the slip. So you'll be out there around the Christmas trees and the palm trees. And
Tell me my favorite drink that I've enjoyed so much during the holidays. Of course, eggnog. I love eggnog. And
I don't know. I mean, you drink a mimosa with some Prosecco.
yeah. All right, now
We had some mimosas on Christmas for the first time in a long time. Champagne and orange juice.
You got to be careful with this drink because it might jump up and bite you.
I'll be pouring 3 different bubblies at the event, and then I'll actually be going on right in the middle of LSU, Oklahoma.
Will you have a television there? Will you have a television there?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it'll work. It'll be outside, so a lot of people probably won't show up.
Well, you need a television there. Of course, it doesn't get any bigger than.
You got Clemson, Ohio State at 7. So as soon as the event's over for me, I'll be heading to a local establishment watching that.
That's going to be a great game.
Talking about Oklahoma and LSU, there's a great story on ESPN.com about Jalen Hurts, and most of it covers his time at Alabama.
I've been hurt. Yes, I've been hurt.
It has quotes from Coach Cochran, from Alabama's trainer, from Nick Saban. So apparently, Jalen Hurts is kind of a different hombre. He goes to a beat of his own drummer, but he still has strong feelings for Alabama. People couldn't really figure him out, and they're still trying to figure him out.
Yeah.
I reckon if anybody goes on the internet and reads journalism, sports journalism, it's by Ivan Mizell, who's a great sports writer. A long story about Jalen Hurts on today's ESPN.com.
We came with
some of the things he did differently than most players. I mean, as far as you said, he kept to himself.
Yeah, he kept. People couldn't read him. They said Coach Saban never could understand him, and he even called his father and said, I just can't get on the same wavelength as Jalen.
He doesn't act
he had a poker face, and people just didn't know really what he was thinking.
He seems to be very mature.
They say he's very mature, and some people think he's arrogant. And
I tell you right now, if they got in a boxing match, he probably could whip anybody in college football. I mean, this guy is a hard-nosed guy. It's a winner, and he's not afraid of anything. That's what makes Oklahoma so dangerous in this game, because he is a winner and he knows how to make things happen.
He really started making some bad throws down the stretch. If you watch any of their games, he started throwing a lot more interceptions, and he looked like he kind of got worse as the season went on to me this year.
Yeah. Well, other games.
Or maybe the competition got better.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to our studio.
Jalen Hurts will always be, when he came in against USC, pure freshman. His first series, he fumbles the ball, and then the next thing you know, he just throws all these deep bombs throughout the game, all these passes, and Alabama beats USC like 50-0 in the Cotton Bowl, and that's the first time you ever saw him play.
And you thought the starting quarterback was going to be
the
guy from Utah, or the guy that transferred 3 times and ended up at South Florida, and it was Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where it'll be, and I hate it. Right. Jalen Hurts, quarterback, Oklahoma. They are paying him, Alabama Alumni Association are paying him $1 million a year to say, Jalen Hurts, quarterback, Alabama, Oklahoma.
You talking about if he made it to the pros?
Yeah.
A lot of those pro guys even say the high school.
Oh, yeah. A lot of these kids didn't even go to college. They say Sumter High School.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
This story on Jalen says they think he'll be a mid-round selection in the NFL draft.
The thing everybody needs to know, how fast is he, Mike? Is he 4.7?
He's 4.4.
Yeah, I don't believe he's 4.4.
They say he's one of the fastest players on Alabama's team.
Does he look like he's that fast?
He doesn't look like he's moving, but he is.
Wait a minute now. That's we got to do some research on that, Mike.
You can't question me.
No way Jalen Hurts is 4.4.
He's 4.45, 40.
Yeah. Of course, Auburn's got a big game.
They keep on talking about who's coming back. Alabama really needs Dylan Moses to come back at linebacker. That would be so huge for Alabama's defense next year.
Yeah.
The other linebacker that got hurt got granted a waiver to play his 6th year if he wants to. He hadn't said if he's going to come back or not.
Josh McMillan.
Josh McMillan that got hurt.
Boy.
He was going to start for the first time.
Alabama's defense is the factor of the reason they haven't won a championship in a while, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to more of these scores. BYU, Hawaii beats BYU.
Boy, BYU just gave that game away. They had chances after chances to put it away.
I watched that, yeah.
And gave away a chance late, and quarterback just took them down the field. They won the game. Yeah. But BYU literally is in the end zone for a touchdown, and ESPN didn't have a camera in the end zone, and they called it a fumble, but it looked like it was obvious he had crossed the plane, and that took 7
I turned it on, and BYU had the ball 3rd and 2 with 2 minutes and 2 seconds left.
Oh, yeah.
And Hawaii had no timeouts, so if BYU had a little interest in this game, if you know what I mean, all BYU has to do is get the first down, and they win the game. But they do not get the first down. And also, they pass the ball, and the pass is incomplete, so it stops the clock. And I'm thinking 3rd and 2, why didn't you just run the ball? If nothing else, you can run off 40 seconds, right? And then punt the ball with a minute 20 left. Said they punted it with 2 minutes left. And like you said, Hawaii got the ball and went straight down the field, scored a touchdown, and won.
Yeah. Okay, in the middle of the games today, of course, Independence Bowl, La Tech beat Miami, and then Pittsburgh just did get by Eastern Michigan. Military Bowl from Annapolis, a cold Annapolis. You got North Carolina against Temple today.
That's probably not cold today, though.
I know it. Let's see. I don't have the temperature looking at me, but that game's at 11 o'clock on ESPN. Okay, the Pinstripe Bowl from Yankee Stadium in New York had Wake Forest and Michigan State. You just shoot in here with them. You don't know what's going to happen.
It's a box of chocolate.
The Texas Bowl from Houston has Oklahoma State and A&M. Those are two pretty good football teams.
I noticed the line has gone from 7.5 to 5.5 in a hurry. So the money is going on Texas. It's on Oklahoma State is where the money's coming in.
Okay, well that's interesting to see. This is a Holiday Bowl. Iowa against Southern Cal. This should be a good one. Iowa 9-3, Southern Cal 8-4. This is a 7 o'clock kickoff tonight. On FSI though, can anybody watch it, Mike?
What is that? Fox Sports?
Yeah, I reckon that's where. That must be it. It's FSI.
What is it? Fox Sports 1 is what it is.
And that game's been played at 7 o'clock. The cheesy
game late night that I want to watch tonight is Air Force running the option against Washington State spread. That's going to be interesting.
I bet. Hey, what's the over/under on that? That'd be interesting.
A lot.
68. Line is Air Force 2.5.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a good one.
I think it's pretty interesting. Iowa is a 2-point favorite against USC. Yeah. I thought USC would beat Iowa.
Yeah. Okay. Air Force 10-2. Washington 6-6. So that's 9:15 tonight. That's going to be a very late game on ESPN.
Oh,
Saturday.
off the press.
All right, Saturday the 28th. We got news coming in here. This is what I like so much about laid-back television at its very best. It says Jalen Hurts. Listen to this now. My guy up there just is so sharp.
He's paying attention to the
Jalen
show.
Hurts, 40-time among notable numbers from Alabama spring workouts, like the NFL scouting combine. Alabama players recently went through tests such as the 40-yard dash. Here are some notable numbers for Crimson Tide spring testing of the 40-yard dash. Hurt throws, let's see, okay. All right. The reigning SEC Player of the Year, Jalen Hurts. Listen to this. This is going to stun you. Ran the 40-yard dash in 4.48 seconds. You're right. He is fast. In comparison with the fastest time for a quarterback this year's NFL scouting combine is 4.54. So really, he's faster than the fastest time.
That was the year 2017.
Yeah,
He's
that's
probably
right.
faster now because he lost weight when he went to Oklahoma.
6 foot, 210 pound, and he weighs 230 now, doesn't he?
When he went to Oklahoma, he lost weight.
Jalen Hurts 6'2".
Yeah, he's 6 feet.
All right, he also had a 315-pound power clean. He bench pressed 355, and he squatted 455, and recorded 9 foot 9 inch broad jump, a good number in the drills. The five-star freshman Tua had 2 40 times. One of them was 4.76, and the other one was 4.81. Hey, what have we done? Oh, gosh, what have we done? We let Hurt go, and he's going to win a national championship. I've been hurt. Yes, I've been hurt now.
You've sung that song a million times. I've never heard it.
I've been hurt, no, because he's going to hurt Alabama.
What is the song you keep referencing? I've been hurt. Who sings that?
The Drifters.
Okay.
The Drifters. Not the Drifters, but the...
There's a Johnny Cash song he recorded right before he died called Hurt.
Yeah. Well, you've heard I've been hurt by the Drifters before. hang on. Of course,
They're saying Jalen Hurts right now will probably be in the rounds 3 to 4 in the draft right now.
I tell you what, he's a guy that could play tailback.
I
wouldn't doubt if he didn't play tailback and and slot receiver
He could play strong safety or outside linebacker.
or tight end.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's too stubborn, though. He don't want to play quarterback.
Yeah.
He won't change position.
He's like Tim Tebow could have been an all-pro tight end.
And we haven't talked at all about Fields against Lawrence. And let me tell you this Lawrence is a real deal. We're going to find out how good Lawrence is. The guy on TV said,
Fields has a knee injury. He's only 85%, he said.
well, they say this about Ohio State is this is the best Ohio State team ever. They say that it's the best Ohio State team ever, Mike, going against
the best Ohio State team ever is getting ready to get beat by the third best Clemson team ever.
Against Clemson. Boy, it's a great matchup. These are all good matchups with Oklahoma going up against.
Did you see that LSU's tailback, who is outstanding, he's questionable whether he's going to play against Oklahoma.
Yeah, I know it. And what about Edwards, Mike? Edwards-Helaire. What's the deal? Two of them are still hurt.
His quarterback Burrow said he thinks he's going to
Clyde
play.
Edwards-Helaire. Is that great running back?
Yep, still mending.
That's exactly right. Hope you've enjoyed today's show. We'll come back someday next week and talk to you more about some of the big games coming up. But it's going to be a great weekend. We've got the 4 championship games are coming in here. We've got I've been hurt is by the Tams. I've been hurt. Yes, I've been hurt. I've been hurt like I've never been hurt before. And you lied to me. So leave me alone, little girl, 'cause I've been hurt. 'Cause you cheated, mistreated, you cheated on me, girl. And you told me a whole lot of lies. What happened last night? I saw you, another guy was holding you tight, and you lied to me. So leave me alone, little girl, 'cause I've been hurt.
By the Tams that were just in Troy at a party, right?
Exactly right. And, of course, these ball games coming up are going to be wonderful. And, again, some of the games quickly, you got Notre Dame and Iowa State coming up on Saturday, Penn State and Memphis coming up on Saturday.
Well, who do you think's going to win Ohio State Clemson?
And here's my prediction here. I got LSU beating Oklahoma, but, boy, look out. I've been hurt. and look out because this guy is super. Ohio State and Clemson. Both teams undefeated. That's going to be a 7 o'clock kickoff on Saturday night.
You know who's favorite in the Clemson-Ohio State game, don't you? It might be the best Ohio State team of all time, but Clemson is a 2-point favorite.
Clemson
it's
is
like, what do you think the line would be if Alabama and the LSU played in the rematch in Atlanta?
Alabama and LSU probably even.
5 or 6 LSU.
Maybe so.
LSU's favored by 14.
But it's going to be some great games. You're going to have a great weekend of college football. You just don't get any better than that. I'll tell you how many games you got to choose from. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 20, 21, 22, 23. Before we see you again, 24, Tennessee, 25. About 25 football games we'll see you after those 25 games, and we'll go back and check to see who picked them right. Hope you have a great weekend. It's going to be the greatest weekend in college football history. If you like
no, if Alabama and Auburn, Alabama and Auburn are not playing, so it's not the greatest.
But it's going to be a great one. Have a great day. We'll see you soon right here on Today in LA. Thank you for watching.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local.